ටවුන් එකේ විෂන් කෑකට ගියා නම් ඉවරයිනේ.
Vision Care විශ්වාසනීය දැක්ම.
And to discuss more on Sri Lanka's current economic prospects, the way forward, we've invited to our studios an economic analyst, Adrian Perera. Good evening and a warm welcome to Studio 24.
Thank you. Good evening.
Well, Adrian, I think you've been a part of a rating agency for several years,
yes.
RAM ratings and etc. But we saw ratings being downgraded for Sri Lanka during October, during the latter part of October, where they say a political crisis emanated in Sri Lanka. But analysing this situation, we haven't seen the ratings being reversed or anything happening in that regard. What is really the outlook for Sri Lanka in the global market?
Okay, if you look at it, Induri, we were already on a negative outlook before the political crisis.
You mean to say that this was not a rating that was driven because of the October 26th events?
No. It was, we were already on a negative outlook. If you look at all three rating agencies, we were on a negative outlook. It triggered it only. It triggered it expedited the downgrade. So we would have had a chance if the economy improved, which I don't know. We had the way the exchange rate was, the currency was depreciating and the revenue was going on. So it was very unlikely that we were going to get back into stable. So it just triggered it faster, which was otherwise it would have happened in somewhere in March this year or somewhere, once the central bank annual report. So I would say to get back into the next level, get back up to the B plus level, positive outlook level, it will take some time. Even the rating is now, IMF is coming only in mid-February. They have been not just coming just because we went there and said, no, we don't want to just go and give you the money. So we want to come and see and discuss with you. That's fair enough. So we need to show, I think Sri Lanka needs to show the world community, the investors, the IMF, the rating agencies, the analysts need to get confidence that, okay, we can do these numbers, we achieve this, there's stability, and we are going ahead. So there is a challenge for Sri Lanka. So I don't think it will be just a changing of the government or changing of certain individuals is not going to give us a rating upgrade.
So again, going back to the events that unfolded since the 26th of October, when following which these ratings downgrades were triggered, you say that this was an incident, an eventuality we were to face as an economy, given the negative outlook prescribed by these agencies. But what led to our economy being given that negative outlook?
I would say the reason that led to a negative outlook, where we will look at it, low FDI investments, our exports were low, whereas our imports were increasing, and we were finding some difficulty. We knew the debt payments were coming in January. We were waiting for the last moment to go to the bond market. If we went to the bond market or the foreign currency market, then raise the money somewhere in June, July, we would have had a better chance. Because always in an international bond market, there's a small window. There's a very short window. We have to capitalize on that one. So if we waited too long, we should have capitalized and gone to the bond market somewhere in June, July, August, within that period. Then we would have got the required funds, then we would have been ready to pay. So we were waiting until the last moment, taking things for granted. So I don't think that's a way, I mean, that should not have happened.
What you're saying is like we were on a downward trend from some time. So now it's nothing to do with the fact that you're changing heads of certain institutions and trying to figure out how to do this. What you're saying is that this has to be a policy decision where the country's economic outlook should be taken to a different path. What is your point of view that which path should we tread on right now?
I think the path we should tread on is definitely look at foreign direct investments. We have to understand Sri Lanka, just because we can say whatever the government it is, we have to compete for FDI, not only with small countries like Pakistan and in Nepal, we have to compete with India, Pakistan, China, Russia, even Europe. So we have to look at why should they invest in us? Because these FDI, foreign direct investments, these investors will look at, they will compare investing in Sri Lanka versus Malaysia, Singapore, India and China, which are bigger market. We have a huge market next door, and we have to also look at consistent economic policies, which we is lacking very much. So we need to look at that definitely.
Talking about FTAs, or rather foreign direct investments,
Yes.
have we really created that conducive environment that we've been talking about since post-conflict Sri Lanka, since the end of the war? We've been trying to bring in tighter regulations and easier and investor-friendly environment, but have we, as Sri Lanka, really created and reached our expected goals?
No, I don't think, to be honest, we have not. We have not created, the short and sweet is, we have not created a consistent policy also framework we don't have. And our policy framework changes from election to election.
Yeah.
Now it changes even from local government. Previously it's a general election. Even if you lose the local government election, we change the policies. So that is the biggest issue. So the investors don't want just, they don't come and sign up an agreement with the politicians or the political party. They come and invest in a country and sign its country in that. Now, if we keep on changing those policies, investor loses investor confidence. So I think we need to build, irrespective of which government comes, if there's a foreign direct investment, we have to honor those commitments. We can't just cancel those investments and then go back and say, sorry, we will renegotiate again. So
Right.
that is not the correct thing.
Right, and very quickly before we go in for a short break, Adrian, we've been talking about forecasts for growth for Sri Lanka in 2019, although forecasts were slightly below expectations last year, but those are all provisional figures yet. But this year it's in the range of 4.54 and 5. But is this still realistic? I mean, shouldn't this economy be booming?
This economy should be moving, definitely. We have the potential to go 4.55, more than that.
Yeah.
But even with getting a economic growth of 4, it's a long goal. I mean, it's a big challenge.
Yes.
Because we need to solve a lot of other problems. Mind you, we have to understand this is election year.
Yes, indeed.
Right. So thank you very much, Adrian, for joining us this evening on First at 9. We had with us the former Chief Executive Officer of RAM Ratings Lanka joining us on First at 9. We take a short break now and be back with your top stories making headlines tonight.